Hi there, I'm Holly McDonald with the Costa Mesa Pod, where we discuss all things concerning the lifestyle, businesses, and activities that make our area such a great place to live. Today, I have Luisa Contreras with me, and she is a therapist, and boy, we could all use a little bit more of her. So, Luisa, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Holly.
Yes. So, we know you do therapy. Let's dive a little bit deeper, though. Let's start way back. Who is Luisa?
Luisa is fun, loving, cheerful, optimistic, and I would say determined.
Nice. Okay. Well, that all sounds great. So how do you deal with being a therapist?
Like to manage both?
Yeah, because you're positive, but I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of tense situations, especially because you do a lot of marriage and family.
Yeah, I work a lot with couples, and I work a lot with trauma. So yes, I mean, for me, it's very special that people come to me to, share their deepest feelings or their most difficult experience. So it's a very vulnerable space. So if anything, I'm honored that they choose me to be part of that journey.
Yeah, no, it's really important for people to feel safe when they come to talk to you, especially if they're revealing things that they might not be comfortable with.
Yes.
How did you get into this profession? Was this something that you always thought you were going to be a therapist? Did you evolve into it? What happened?
I think I evolved into it. I've always been a people, I like observing people, and I like observing interactions and people's behaviors, and so I wanted to be an attorney all my life. And then I remember in high school they did, how they do the career counseling. And I remember I took the test and it said something about being a counselor, a social worker, or being in the human services field. And I was like, no, I've been wanting to be an attorney all my life. But anyways, I took a course in psychology and I fell in love with it. And then I took another course, and I just continued.
Oh my gosh!
Here I am.
Wow. How do you think your life would be different if you went down the road of being an attorney? Do you think you would have thrived in that, or do you feel like this is really where you were meant to be?
No, this is where I'm meant to be. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And we work so much, and it's such a big part of our lives that I really enjoy what I do, and there's nothing else that I could be doing that would bring more joy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like thinking back, it wasn't, as big of a push, when kids are little and whatnot, and they're thinking about what they want to be and what are the main jobs, attorney, doctor, vet, teacher, those are all usually staples, or public service, police.
Fireman.
Yeah, astronaut. But therapy isn't necessarily a glamorized type of field, but it is something that we could all use, first of all, and whether or not we have access to it. But it is about that human component and being able to listen and relate to people. Have you always been, you said you were a good listener, but have you always been the friend that people would come to for listening and kind of fleshing out ideas?
I think so. I had even at work when I was not I wasn't a therapist first.
Yeah.
People would come to my office and tell me about whatever. And my boss used to say, it's so funny to see everybody come to you and talk to you.
I trust
you. And she would say, like Lucy, you should have a jar. Like Charlie Brown, you should have a jar out there.
I love that.
And then I was like, well, and I'm going to do this for a living, so.
You're like, I could actually make money for this? Okay. That's amazing. So did you grow up around here, or where are you from?
So I'm from Mexico. I grew up in Mexico, and then I came to the United States when I was 13. So I have that background of, being an immigrant and coming here to the U.S. and being part of the culture.
Yeah, always Southern California?
Yes.
Okay.
And Orange County, always Orange County. I haven't left.
That's okay, cool. And so, so you're very local. Obviously, you work in Orange County. You service all people in the area.
Yes.
What are some of the topics that you cover a lot when people come to meet with you?
I mean, I think it depends, but when it comes, I mean, my focus is trauma, relationships, and intimacy.
Okay.
So the people usually come for one of those reasons or all of them.
Yeah.
You know, all of those components.
Yeah, it's an interesting timing because we were just discussing, I mean, this won't air right away, but we're in Valentine's season. So it's kind of like couple season and everything. So a lot of people are very lovey-dovey, or, you know, they are not lovey-dovey. But what are some of the things that you're seeing a lot in our area, just because of like the climate, the culture, that a lot of people tend to run into as problems that they feel like they could use your help with?
Sometimes they're minor things, right? Like couples have like different love languages, and that's very similar for couples for that to be a miss.
Yeah.
So we talk about, you know, the love languages is words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, quality time, and did I say physical?
Yeah.
Physical touch. So words of
Trying to
affirmation.
think of all of them too.
So all the 5 languages,
Yeah.
right? Gifts. That's the other
Yes,
one.
that's right.
Gifts.
Of course, how do we forget gifts?
So a lot of times couples have different love languages, and that can become a problem if we get stuck in the pattern of just showing love the way we feel loved, right?
Yeah.
So because the other partner is not feeling love the way they want to feel loved. So that could be a miss. And so if you have years of that where maybe someone is cooking, cleaning, and doing all the chores, and that's their love language, which would be acts of service.
Yeah.
But maybe the partner is like words of affirmation, right? And they want to hear, and I love you, or like you look so beautiful, or look at you, how handsome you look. That can become a miss. And so sometimes it's like people run on empty. And so in order to have closeness, you have to be able to have a balance of both, right? You're the way you show love, that's going to be your default. So it's going to be natural. But you also have to keep in mind that the way your partner wants to be loved, you have to make an effort and be intentional about it if that's not your love language.
Yeah, I have so many like questions and comments that I would love your take on. I listen to a lot of Tony Robbins, and he'll say that with relationships, a lot of it is based upon selection, and by that he means who you selected to be when you were, you know, going after the person, pursuing, right? Because a lot of times people, when they're pursuing, like, and they're in that like the honeymoon stage, they're just, everything is rosy, like they're all in for that person, they put the other person first, and then you do typically get to a point where like that kind of starts to fade, right?
Yes.
Like it could just be like one thing, and then I guess those habits kick in.
Yeah.
You go back to your old wiring or whatnot. So is that something that you see a lot of? And do you think, like, why do you think people do that? If they love somebody so much, why do they all of a sudden like revert? Do they think that they've just won them over, or what?
Well, because love is not enough in order to give a relationship.
That's a good
right?
point. Yes, it's not just love.
So you need other things in the relationship, and so sometimes excitement, right, gets in the way, or like you said, maybe what you're lacking in the moment, that's what you desired, but then that may not remain, right? And so in a long-term relationship, that's what's going to happen. You're going to revert to your default, right?
Oh my gosh.
And so however long that takes, for some people it's a year, 2 years, for some people it's 5 years, right? And so if you don't know yourself and you're not able to like set boundaries or express what you want or what you need, then you're going to run into problems because a partner doesn't know your boundaries, right? And maybe what you were maybe so with time, it becomes a really, no, it bothers me, I don't like it. Yeah. And so that can get couples into trouble.
I mean, that's a really good point, that like relationships are not, you just don't just need love. There's so much more that goes into it. Something else that I've observed just in, I guess, just common culture is that a lot of people do wait a lot longer to settle down, or settle down, but they're taking their time. I don't know if they're taking their time just because they feel like they can, or because they're afraid of the next best thing, like missing
Right.
out on the next best thing.
FOMO. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I see that with some friends that are frustrated that they can't find a partner that wants to commit. Commitment seems to be a really big issue. Why do you think that is?
I think our culture has changed, right? And I think it has to do a lot with like social media, right? Because I mean, when I was growing up, there was no social media.
Same. Yeah.
So your circle was like really small, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you saw was like, that's it. But now it's like the world is out there, right? Waiting for you. So I think that's changed the culture of people, right? And so if, online dating has changed.
That's how I met my husband, was online dating. Yeah.
Which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
You can meet people who maybe you would have never met.
Totally.
Right? Would have never run into. But then if you keep swiping and you're looking for the next best thing, then you're just gonna you're gonna be in a hamster wheel, because there will be some, there will be newness, there will be novelty.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting, like when you were mentioning the swiping, and I mean, I'm guilty of this myself, but when you're swiping, actually this applies to real estate too, because first impressions, they count, they matter. But it's interesting to me how, like, it could just be about, you see something, you like it visually, all of a sudden you have the story, like you think you know somebody just based on how their picture looks, which in these days could be completely digitally altered. And it's just interesting that people can almost fall in love with like that idea before they even know the person themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right with social media, that often can be kind of a source of it, where people are just like falling in love with an image.
It's like with the idea we have in our heads, right? Of what that person is.
And like that TV show, I think it's called Love is Blind. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
So I've only seen a season, but basically the premise is awesome because it's about people who they're falling in love, like they're in these pods. They can't see each other.
And then they have to marry right at the end of the show or something like
Pretty
that?
much, yeah.
They choose their husband.
But I guess it just shows you how much like that one piece can be so heavily weighed for people in like their selection process.
Yes.
Because everybody, I think, wants to be like seen and loved for who they are versus like what they just like look like. Because we all, we wake up, roll out of bed. We're not going to look the same as when we got ready for date night, right? So, yeah, it's very interesting. Do you have to deal with a lot of those difficult conversations with couples?
Like in
like maybe just like their physical.
About what they look like?
Yeah, because most people don't look the same as when they got married. Right. Like,
I think it depends. I find it in I would say it's the minority of cases, not the majority.
That's good.
Where people say, maybe I take care of myself and I would like my partner to take care of him or herself the same way I take care of myself. And so it's more about that, but I find that most people are still attracted to their partner and their spouses. I at least in my experience.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
that's actually very optimistic to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I maybe I just see or hear different things. It's kind of like that whole, like, I saw one yellow card, now I saw 5 yellow cards. So I think that's very optimistic and great to hear, especially in an area where, Orange County is dubbed as being really superficial.
Right.
In case you hadn't heard. So, yeah.
Because you didn't know.
Yeah. So that is uplifting.
Yes.
Now, I guess,
I think we're harder on ourselves, like women. We're harder on ourselves than men, the way men see us.
Yeah, but then you hear that story about, like, we'll just stereotype here, but the guy who divorces his wife and then buys a 20-year-old model instead, right? I mean, those things happen. So I guess it's nice to hear that maybe it doesn't happen as much as like is glorified.
Exactly.
What about the trauma side? You said you deal a lot with trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what sort of traumas? Is it just any type of trauma throughout life, or anything specific that you specialize in?
Well, I specialize in sexual abuse and domestic violence, or traumatic grief. Like, by that I mean, sudden death after a murder or things like that.
Yeah.
So, and so, I mean, the statistic is the same, right? The statistic in men is 1 in 6 men have been sexually abused, and women is 1 in 4. So, even in Orange County, right? And so it's not. It doesn't have to do anything with status. It doesn't have to do with religion or ethnicity. That's just the statistic.
Yeah, that's a lot. Actually, I didn't know the exact statistics, so that's really sad. But that means that there's a lot of broken people, right, that need healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do people find you? Like, are they referred to you? Are you open for clients? How does that all work in the therapy world?
I think the majority just Google, right? Google online search.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do. I mean, I've been doing this for so many years.
Yeah.
And so it depends. I also run different programs that are court approved. And so here in Orange County with Probation's Department.
Yeah.
And so I get referrals from them, from the DA's office, or from people in the community or other clients too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I also know you do a podcast, and I would love if you can share a little bit more about that. Like, what's behind it? What do you talk about on there?
Yeah, so it's Session and Secrets with Luisa. And so Session because of a therapy session.
It's a perfect name.
Right? And Secrets because people come to share with me their deepest secrets. And so so the thought was just like, oh, how hard could it be to start a podcast? And it turned out that it is.
You do a great job. It's very professional. You're doing awesome.
Thank you. But so it's basically just well-being when it comes to mental health or even other parts of life, like financial health. Like you were a guest too, right?
Thank you.
Like, that's also part of our well-being. So anything related to well-being.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to share that because there are so many different ways that mental health plays, into our daily life. And I know that it's changing, but there is still a stigma or connotation when people talk about mental health. Like it's not necessarily something that some people don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. How do you think that stigma is evolving and evaporating?
I think that it is changing, but there's still some that negative stigma, or by saying like I go to therapy because there's something wrong with me, right? Versus I go to therapy because I want to be a better person or I want to improve myself.
Yeah.
And so I think there's still a negative lens to it, but it is changing. Like I was thinking the other day, when was the first time I heard the word depression? And I don't even think I think it was probably when I was like taking a psychology class. I don't even think I ever heard about like the word depression.
Yeah.
Or therapy, like it was so foreign. I mean, I grew up in the like 90s, 80s.
Well, me too. And I feel I mean, yes, back then, before the turn of the century, it was more of a like what sort of problem do they have that they can't just like figure it out, But we are lucky that we have so many more resources and professionals and just like a better understanding.
Yeah,
I mean, you must be up with most of the studies and everything that are out there. The statistics.
Yeah, I mean, I try, but yes, there's so much more. Now we know more, right? There's been like studies, and now we have the findings of like how trauma affects your health, right? How your physical health, not just your mental health, and so now we have a better understanding, like how the brain works, how that. How our genes have an impact in also our lives and how we relate to people and so now we have a better understanding of the impact of mental health, not just in our emotional health but our physical health.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Even just like neuroscience and rewiring. I mean, I know that's all becoming more like buzzworthy now. Like lots of podcasts are talking about it, but to think that we can change our brain, which obviously going to therapy is one great way to do it.
Yes, exactly.
And just all the different ways that you can do it. Like I know there's cognitive, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy. And then
Yes.
you could probably list off 10 other ways, but
Yeah.
or more. There's a lot of different philosophies. Is there a specific philosophy that you kind of focus on? I don't know all of the specifics.
I think I'm more. I think a little bit of everything, eclectic, and it also depends on the client, right? It depends on where they're at, where they are at. Obviously, if they're having, panic attacks and in the moment experiencing a lot of symptoms that are maybe not allowing them to function their daily living, like. Yeah, like CBT, like let's look at your thoughts, how to change them, how can you have thoughts that are based in facts and not emotions, right? Because that can impact the way we perceive the world. And so it depends. But if it's someone who is able to function and who just wants to explore childhood, then that's different. It's a different approach. Or someone who's having flashbacks or nightmares, right, about something traumatic, then that's different.
Yeah.
It would be, working with the body, like somatic work.
I think we're lucky to live in this area. I mean, obviously my my life has been in this area for 20 years physically. But where I grew up, I mean, I still go back and visit. It's not as in tune with like different types of therapies and like meditation. I mean, it all exists there, but here it's almost like Starbucks. Like you can find it on every corner. And there's lots of great ways, and people are very open-minded to healing and how much good that can do. And even just the difference of like, weather like makes a huge difference. I think I'm traumatized from cold winters. Like, and I'm not even saying that as to be like light. I think I'm traumatized from it. Legit, don't put me back in the snow. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting because we live in such a great area where, you've got people that are open to it. I also notice that what I'm seeing, because I do a lot of work with local schools, and one big topic that comes up a lot is, we live in a very expensive area, a great area to be. We have a lot of families, and we have a lot more households where both parents are working, and obviously, like, this has changed a lot since probably when we were kids, where a lot of stay-at-home parents, not that they don't exist, but because so many more students have both parents working, that is changing the dynamic for the schools, the teachers, how the kids are learning, and all of that. Are you seeing that with like the cost of living here and that dynamic of multiple, partners working? Is that adding stress to people's relationships and maybe like their identity or their expectations? Like, I'm in a networking group where it's a lot of working females that are entrepreneurs, and many of us have children, so we're like trying to learn that whole juggle.
Balance.
Yeah, because a lot of us grew up with parents that were home, so now we're like trying to. We thought we knew how we were going to do it with kids, and didn't think that it would be as hard. It's not impossible, but it's definitely different than however we like had known growing up.
Yes, I mean, I think it depends on the couple. Some couples are able to, have a partnership and it feels balanced, and so they're both able to help each other. And the problem is when couples are not able to help each other, right? Because if you're both working, 40 hours or whatever, 50 hours, then the time becomes very limited, right? And so, and then if you have to come home and cook dinner and get the kids ready for bed and do all of that, and then you don't have space for the relationship, right? To create some fun moments and have some dopamine in the brain. So then, that's where couples start to deteriorate as because the relationship bond is not being fostered and not being taken care of, right? If you think about it, like we have the parent role, right? Or the professional role. And so if all of that is taking space, and then the relationship is not, right?
That's such a valid point.
Yeah. So then I always talk to couples and I said, like, time's a pie, right? It's limited.
Yeah.
It's limited.
That's a good quote right there.
Everything is taking a slice, right?
Yeah.
And so if everything gets a slice and the relationship soup gets whatever is left over, it's crumbs, right?
Ooh.
So that's what your relationship is going to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes couples forget that the most important relationship for your kids is your relationship, right? And
Oh my gosh, you're like piercing my heart.
It is, because that's how they learn how to love, how to be loved, right? What a woman should be like, what a man should be like, what a couple should be like. How are they going to show love and respect for each other? How are they going to show up for each other? And so if you're not doing that, if you're not modeling that in your relationship, that's not what they're getting, right? Because kids learn by what they see and what they hear, not what we tell them.
Oh my gosh, you have that right. I have a 5 and a 7-year-old, and yes, they're very good mirrors of all the stuff I don't do well. All the stuff I want to change, they do it, and then I'm like, oh, do I do that?
Right.
They got that from me or my husband. So you're right about that.
Yeah.
So since I have a lot of friends that are kind of in that space that I talked about, where we're probably crumbs and not a big slice of the pie with their significant others. What is one thing that would just be like a simple, very small, intentional thing that you would say a couple could try to model for their children, and just make like 1% change?
I would say treating each other with love, right? Showing that physical affection with each other, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are very loving towards kids and then not to their spouses. Very
Like
cold.
yeah.
Yes. And so I think that would be creating those space to have some, time together, right? To I don't know, sit in the backyard and talk, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 20 minutes, right? Go for walks for 15 minutes and have a conversation.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with kids or bills or,
So it's like enjoying life, basically.
Yes, like being present, talking about the future, your future dreams together. Something that it's more towards relationships.
One thing that we started doing as a family, this will sound so cheesy, but I don't know, like 6 months ago or whatever, I had read that study where, if you like just hug for a few seconds, like that means it's so strong. It's such a powerful bond. So every morning we do a group family hug.
Aww.
It's not 7 seconds. Usually we're running out the door, but we always make sure to do it and like include the kids. I know it's cheesy, but it's like our little thing now. I don't know. It's a fun little tradition that we do, and I'm glad we do it, because otherwise I don't know that we would all like individually like hug. I mean, that sounds harsh, but I think it's nice that it's intentional, because we probably do hug more than we think. But
yes, I love that. It's a good little tradition that you're starting, and your kids are going to remember that, right? It's all memories. We just keep memories.
I hope so, even if they think it's cheesy, which my 7-year-old is starting to think it is. But she gets mad if she gets left out or something, or they regret it, and then they're like, wait, do it again. I want to be in it. So we're starting. Yeah,
and for couples, there's a study making out.
Yeah.
That are like 5 seconds.
All right, there we go. There's a tip, and that's a very good tip for February. So. But you should do it all year long, really.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do to like relax and feel like bonded?
Right now I'm into exercising, so like I'm
those endorphins.
I'm getting the stress out, but I love being out in nature. I love doing like hikes or going to the beach or just getting this, some sun.
Yeah. No, we're so lucky with the weather here.
Yeah.
I traditionally don't like bad weather. Like, I've just been like, I don't like it. Like, messes up my hair, all that stuff. But more recently, I've been embracing it more. Like, I'll go for a walk in the rain. Like, I'm like, I just want to feel. Like, I just want to feel it all. And you do feel more alive. I mean, it might be irritating, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do it, and that's helped a lot, because when you're outside and like the weather is just like all of it, and you can just feel it. It does make you feel alive. It does kind of get like your juices flowing. It's
Yes,
interesting.
Exactly. Well, because you connect with your senses. That's very important to connect with your senses.
Yeah, but I still won't do cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where can people find out more about you or connect with you and contact you? And of course, I'll put this in the show notes too.
Yeah, ocsextherapist.com.
Ooh, I don't even think I follow you with that one. I think I just follow your personal.
I mean, that's my website. But,
okay.
but on Instagram,
Yeah.
like Luisa, my first name, Luisa, K underscore CONT, I think.
Your website domain is awesome. How'd you score that one? That'll probably cost you a pretty penny, or you can sell it for a lot. Don't sell it.
No, this is mine.
That's good real estate to have.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you to Luisa. I feel like it's just your positive energy radiates, and I'm sure you are so helpful for so many couples, and I'm sure just even the tips that you mentioned here today are going to be very, very useful. We'll see you next time on the Costa Mesa Pod.